to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power.
And a neck as wide as Broadway, for crying out loud.
Right.
The thing that I don't like about Canelo is that it's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yes.
They both hit hard. Because and you can see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, yeah, but why does he need to give that much away? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go up and fight Canelo?
Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith examine the showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Stephen predicts Crawford will win by decision, but urges caution. He recalls Gervonta Davis's warning that Crawford could put himself in danger if he exchanges too often, with Canelo's natural size and punching strength. Stephen A. says Crawford must depend on defense, speed, and ring intelligence rather than going toe-to-toe. The analysts stress the game plan, not power alone, will determine the winner.
Greatness. And a neck as wide as Broadway, for crying out loud.
Right.
The thing that I don't like about Canelo is that it's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yes.
And that's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble, and I'm not sure it was him, but I think it was him. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, strong fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's going to go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight.
At the same time, Max Kellerman notes that Terence Crawford's complete skill package looks sharper, giving him a technical advantage. He highlights Canelo Alvarez's granite chin and naturally bigger frame with a broader build that makes him strong in trades. Yet, in recent outings, Canelo has not looked as sharp or dominant as before, showing small signs of decline. This contrast between Crawford's skills and Canelo's toughness and size frames the fight as timing against durability.
Great chin, a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who I would assume Canelo has.
You have to think, unless Crawford, Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov.
Antonio Tarver, a respected boxing voice and former champion, has openly backed Terence Crawford while admitting the massive task in front of him. Tarver says Crawford has repeatedly proved himself at different weights, but this fight is another level entirely. He stresses that it stands as not only Crawford's toughest test so far, but also a challenge that Canelo Alvarez himself has never really faced throughout his career.
Garbage take, I'm Bud County all the way, but this is going to be the toughest fight, the best fighter Bud has ever been in the ring with. And arguably, this could be the best fighter Canelo has ever been in the ring with. We'll find out which one is which on September 13th.
Antonio, I appreciate your time. Safe travels back home.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio.
Timothy Bradley Jr., known for his sharp boxing IQ, expects the first round of Canelo versus Crawford to be cautious. He predicts both fighters will avoid reckless risks early, instead studying distance, timing, and rhythm. Bradley explains that Crawford is patient when beginning big fights, watching closely before setting traps. Canelo, likewise, has shown he uses the opening rounds to measure range before adjusting. Bradley says this approach makes round one a chess match more about learning than action.
First, Crawford wants to feel his punching power as well. You know, in the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are going, trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm. You know, understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. You know, it takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher, you know, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. You know, and the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. You know, he usually takes off, just feels the power, you know, cruises, you know, see what these guys know, couple of feints, level changes, you know, gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's gonna be a real, like, calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's gonna start applying that pressure. Pre-engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? And let me explain. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands go, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, you know, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next.
Amir Khan, who fought both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, shares a rare perspective on the bout. Khan insists Crawford already proved greatness at his natural divisions, especially at welterweight. He warns that divisions exist for a reason, because moving up against bigger fighters is dangerous. Khan believes Crawford did not need this extra pressure by fighting Canelo, yet he respects the ambition, calling it a bold attempt to silence critics and achieve something rare. Khan concludes that though Crawford is world-class, stepping up against Canelo's power is a gamble that can either secure history or put his career in danger.
And we did all the build-up, they were nothing but respectful. I just feel that, you know, in boxing, weight divisions are made there they make them for a purpose. And I highly respect and say pound for pound, the best fighter is Crawford by far, and beats anyone. But when you start putting weight on and you go for weight and you fight these guys like Canelo, even though Canelo might be now getting a little bit older and might be slowing down a little bit, but he's still going to be very dangerous. That punch power, you're still going to get tagged, you're still going to get hit. You're going to have to spar heavier guys to get ready for that anyway. So you're going to be taking a lot of wear and tear anyway. You're going to have to put adding a few pounds on. Does he need to put that pressure on himself? He's done what no one's ever done before. 2-time undisputed world champion. So why not just enjoy it? But obviously you want to go for that next challenge. Now for him, he wants to go for that Canelo. I would advise him not to go for that. But if he's the man and he knows how good he is himself. So I can't really say to him that do this or do that. So really,
he believes in his skills. He
believes in his skill. We can't answer for him.
Yeah.
We let him go and do it. You know what I'm saying? And we all might be wrong. He might be even stronger than Canelo. He might be stronger than Canelo. He might pack the weight on well. He might do really well in there. So look,
Let's fight them both. Like, what are the differences between them? Obviously, it's weight.
Canelo's strong and he's easily hit. Very easily hit, very easily. Compared to when I fought against Crawford, I couldn't hit clean.
Yeah.
So really, that's the difference. And they both hit hard. And you can see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, yeah, but why does he need to give that much weight? He's pound for pound #1 in the world.
Promoter Tom Loeffler views the fight from a business and spectacle lens. He explains that Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are two of boxing's biggest stars, each with massive fan bases that span nations and cultures. Loeffler argues very few modern fights compare to this one in scale. He says it is more than just skills, it is two dynasties colliding. Canelo's long reign as the face of boxing against Crawford's rise as pound-for-pound king, Loeffler insists the buzz is deserved, since fights of this magnitude rarely happen with weight and legacy on the line.
High-profile show, it's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than that, and you know, you got to give credit to both guys. They're both very confident. They both have very passionate fan bases. You know, Callum, you know, having fought in Dublin, packed the arena out there, the 3 Arena, having fought at Madison Square Garden 3 times, fought in Boston, and then Fernando Jr., you know, from one of the biggest boxing name families, you know, in the history of boxing. He's going to bring out a huge fan base. So it's a really exciting addition to, you know, such a big show that like I said, doesn't get any bigger than that for sure.
I agree. I think that you, along with me, have seen some of these criticisms of the undercard. But really, when you look at it, I mean, we both know Callum Walsh so well. The personality and the authenticity that he brings to this sport is just so sincere. He's so real. You know, being from Ireland, coming overseas to train and dedicate his life to this craft, and his personality is so magnetic that it obviously brought someone like Dana White to be a huge supporter of.
Trainer Dave Coldwell highlights Crawford's special style, noting his ability to switch stances smoothly and use movement to control range. Coldwell says Crawford's footwork is underrated, allowing him to create openings, frustrate rivals, and set the pace. Against a strong pressure fighter like Canelo, Coldwell feels this will be vital. He explains that if Crawford stays mobile and avoids being trapped on the ropes, he has the tools to outthink Canelo and pile up points.
From when the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. Just think it's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch, he's very good as a southpaw. His judgment and distance is fantastic, his punch picking is fantastic, he's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down. His feet have never been the fastest, but he's always had good placement of feet. His feet aren't the fastest. And he loads up, and you don't really like boxing at a pace. So I kind of look at that and I think Crawford can manage his way through the fight to win it on points. I think he can manage moments, tough moments. When Canelo detonates a big shot on him, he's going to know about it because Crawford's been out before. Crawford gets hit, he does get hit. That's why he's exciting, but he does get hit. So that means that Canelo could land on him. I just think that Canelo will land a bomb and Crawford knows enough to tie up, to get off an angle, to get that distance.
Jeff Mayweather points to size and natural weight as the key issue. He explains that Canelo has been settled as super middleweight, a class that perfectly suits his frame. Terence Crawford, by contrast, is stepping into a weight not natural for him, creating concerns about speed, conditioning, and durability with the added pounds. Mayweather says Canelo's comfort at this weight gives him an edge, since he won't need to make big adjustments to his body.
Big factor, and I mean, this is a weight class that Canelo is already, owned. He owns this weight class. And so, I mean, and he even went up higher. So, I mean, he's already proven what he can do and what he can take at those other weight classes. So, I mean, I don't know, but if anyone can do it, it probably would be Terence Crawford. I mean, this guy seems like he's amazing. I mean, I'm a big fan of Terence Crawford, but I'm a big fan of Canelo as well. So I mean, it's one of those situations where somebody has to lose. So I don't know who's gonna lose, but I think that it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a great fight.
A Ring magazine analyst studies Canelo's recent performances, pointing out that though Alvarez continues to train hard and prepare seriously, one weakness has stood out. In recent bouts, Canelo has struggled to cut off the ring well. This flaw has let opponents move freely and avoid heavy shots against Crawford, whose angles and movement are key to his style. This could become costly. The analyst argues Canelo must find a way to corner opponents again and shut down escape routes.
I should have any position to critique and criticize Canelo. But one of the things that he's gotten in trouble with in the last couple of fights, not being able to cut off the ring. You know, you go to the William Skull fight and you watched him chase William Skull around and around and around that ring. And yes, William Skull was running from him. That was pretty clear to see. He was on his bike utilizing his jab, but you didn't see Canelo cut him off. You didn't see him move laterally to be able to stop a lot of that running or stop a lot of that circling around the ropes, which is his responsibility if he's going to take the front foot and look to establish himself offensively. And when I watch Canelo here, he's gotten away with this pretty much his entire career, but I watch him cross step a lot. And you see it right there, where he goes from circling, he rolls under the right hand, and instead of moving laterally, replacing his back foot with his front foot, he L-steps and then crosses over, which instead of just moving laterally and shifting, like I said, shuffling to his right off of the L-step, off of the reset, which would allow him to be ready to go and ready to fight again, it takes him that extra beat to get back into fights.
Former champion David Haye offers a change in opinion. At first, Haye believed Canelo's power and size would be too much for Crawford, making victory unlikely. But after watching Crawford in training and noticing his relentless work rate and sharp technique, Haye admits he has reconsidered. He confesses that he could not see it before, but now he believes Crawford really does have a chance to win.
And that's beating Canelo. I've been a fan of his for a long time, and likewise with Crawford. I never thought there was a version of reality where they'd both be in the ring with each other. I initially automatically assumed, because Canelo's obviously beaten, he was the light heavyweight champion of the world, undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. He's just campaigned at a much bigger weight, so a bigger can beat him, a good little, usually. Until I saw them standing next to each other and they looked the same size, so I couldn't quite figure it out. I was like, okay, if they're the same size, then it's literally pound for pound. Who's pound for pound better? And that's it, they're both pound for pound fighters. A lot of people have got them 1 and 2. And I favoured Canelo starting off, but over time, I'm starting to think, once again, Crawford is one of those guys where he reminds me of kind of Andre Ward a little bit, the mindset, and he wouldn't put himself in a position if he didn't know for sure he had enough firepower to deal with someone of Canelo's stature, Canelo's history. But it's the two best fighters on the planet mixing it up. It's one of those dream fights, the proper trades fight, that anyone who's interested in boxing wants to see two living legends going at it. Yeah, I can't believe it's actually happening. That makes sense, because they're so big in their own right. The fact that fight would never have happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It just wouldn't have happened. But now anything's possible in boxing.
Jeff Horn, another former world champion, delivers a warning to Canelo Alvarez. He explains that while size and power matter, they do not guarantee victory. Horn says Crawford's defense will allow him to take less damage and weaken Canelo's. Power. According to Horn, Crawford has a great sense of timing, the skill to roll with punches, and the ability to avoid clean shots. That means Canelo's size edge may not matter if he cannot land clearly. Horn insists Crawford's defense could frustrate Canelo, reduce exchanges, and open space for counters.
Me analyzing and watching Crawford over all these years, I just cannot bet against dude, bro.
No, you can't.
I'm going to roll with Crawford, and shout out to Nebraska, and that's just what it is.
I'm so glad you're here, big.
I'm gonna go ahead and put my bread down on Crawford, and I'm gonna live with the result.
You were a DB, right?
I played wide receiver, kick return, punt return.
Oh, I thought why did I think you was a DB?
No.
Even being a wide receiver, you fit the bill of a Terence Crawford. If Terence was a football player, he more than likely would be a DB or a wide receiver.
Yeah.
How much weight did you put on leaving high school going into